Hi Gemini, I hope that you're all doing well. We are here with your reading, what you need to know for October. All the important stuff. The first card that we have is Six of Cups. You can be getting back to the basics. There can even be a revisiting that's happening of your roots. This feels too like there was something that you had your mind set on in the past, something that motivated you, something that you felt connected with. This feels like the return of that. So this doesn't feel like a brand new manifestation that you've never thought of or never cared about before. This feels like the return of inspiration, the return of feeling connected with something that you wanted in the past, something that mattered to you in the past, something that you cared about in the past, something you felt connected with in the past, and something that is coming back up this theme into the present moment. And this feels like it reconnects you with a past vision that you had, and not in a way where you have to reach for it, in a way where there's this remembering of why that was important to you. What that can mean too is this can even be something that had been going on that maybe you lost passion for, maybe you lost interest in, or maybe felt disconnected from, or you got away from that because of sort of where you were going. And this is going to be that energy coming back to you where it feels real, like there's no having to force this or try to force that reconnection to something. It just feels like it's there and that it's flowing through you. It feels like finding something again. And there is a current intention to use that. It looks too like there's also a lot of reflection that's going to be happening in the month of October. I'm seeing Hermit, and following Hermit is the High Priestess. What this means is that Hermit is going to be you spending time sort of tucked away, thinking about things. I feel almost like a vision of you in a dark room, and what's going on up here is being projected onto the wall, and you just watching what's going on. It feels like there is an observation of what's happening internally, and having the High Priestess there can be answers that you're finding within that, answers that you're finding within the reflection. This can be a month too where you feel like maybe journaling is important, maybe taking some extra time for yourself is important, maybe feeling a little bit less social, or making just deliberate time that you have where there is a connecting and a tuning in. It feels like this is to make sure that you stay intact internally and emotionally. And can even be looking to understand something to find answers. Because this is ultimately going to be about connecting with your higher self. So you're going to be tuning in and having conversations with your higher self, going to give you clarity, going to give you answers that you need, and then you'll sort of go into that space with your higher self, and then you'll come back out of it, and it will give you a sense of direction for your everyday. So there will definitely be a tuning in that happens, and this is an internal tuning in. Turning inward, only to turn back outward and then do your thing. This will also help you resolve conflict that presents itself and choices that need to be made related to that. If you tune in, the answers you'll find what you're looking for, and it will feel clear to you. But when it first happens, it may not be, and that's going to be the importance of you turning inward and figuring this out. The answers will be there. So keep that in mind. This isn't something if you're watching this in September, you're not going to know what this is about, but when you get to that point where this occurs, follow this and it will sort of guide you through that process. Something that feels complicated, this will uncomplicate something, and it will feel very obvious and clear what to do and where to go. But at first, when it presents itself to you, there's this feeling of busyness and feeling unsure even how to approach it or what to do with it. And then when the tuning in happens, feels like it gives you a byline even. I'm seeing the past and the future meet each other in the beginning of the month. There's some type of personal progress that's made here, that this really matters to you on an individual level. And it feels again like this is a meeting point that happens where I'm seeing the past meet the future in a moment that you have, and this matters to you on a personal level, and it has to do with things that you have going on, important things that you have going on, all of the important stuff that you're up to. There's personal progress that's made, and this highlights something from the past for you when it comes up, something about your past. Maybe even where you started or where you came from, and then I'm getting confirmation of this. This feels like a moment where if back there in the timeline, there was this vision that you had of something occurring, you being in a place, it feels like you get to there and then you look around and you're like, wow, I made it. It's going to be something like that. And then you'll remember that time back there that you envisioned this thing, and you'll see that this ends up, that this happened, that you manifested something. And I do feel like this is connecting you to with your mind and where you are with things and your intention, and then what unfolds based off of that. So something happens and it feels progressive to you, this thing that happens, because this feels like you are now in the future moment. You're now in that future moment that you were thinking about back there in the timeline. And so it makes some type of connection for you that you see. And it's associated with a win for you as well. I'm seeing this be a big deal. It feels too like what may have actually been challenging to do was needing to tune in and reflect. That can be something that feels like it's necessary for me to turn inward right now and to ponder and to reflect and to find answers during the month of October. It can feel challenging to do that, but that's also where the answers are that you seek, and that's exactly how you find them. And I am seeing you find the answers that you're looking for. So first, something's going to pop up. You're not really going to know what to do with it at first. There's going to be a turning inward. You're going to find the answers that you need, and then you move forward with things. There will be stuff that pops up that can feel like this is a problem or this is something that needs to be figured out, and then you end up figuring it out, is what I'm seeing. This can have to do with where you're going and where you want to be going as well. And there can be plans about the future that come up too. Feels like climbing a ladder. or like elevated steps. Like each step that you take is higher than the last one. It's something like that that's happening energetically. Conflict over, moving forward. So there's a resolving. This thing having to do with you on a personal level, on an individual level. An obstacle that you face and overcome, and then you move forward. But there was something here that needed to be linked with your Mercury and your moon energy, which means that something with your heart and your mind needed to come together. Because it could have felt initially like they were saying two different things. And then I'm seeing like the whole thing come together, where you realize that both of these energies are communicating the same thing with you, but initially it may have felt like that's not what was happening. You can feel like my mind is saying one thing and my heart is saying another thing, but then what I'm seeing happen is that you realize that they're actually on the same page. You just needed to find the common language between the two, and it helps you see something that you weren't seeing before. And this is a really awesome thing here. We are ending with the Six of Wands, which is a card of victory and it's a card of success. And ultimately this has to do with your heart and your mind being on the same page with one another. And something that initially you weren't seeing, that then you end up seeing, that both of these energies are actually, they're not saying something different. So these themes that I'm seeing here that you're going to experience within October, there will be conflict. It will be resolved. It's something that you are definitely going to overcome here. There's going to be continuing to tune in and reflect on current investments that you have going on. This conflict can have to do with investments of yours. Investments meaning stuff that you're currently putting your energy into, and something that needs to be worked out based off of that. Answers that need to be found, clarity that you can be looking for. And this has to do with like personally what you're trying to do. What is your intention? What do you want? And it also has to do with your past and your future and this line that connects the two of them. Something about connection to the past, roots, nostalgia, your vision back then, and then also your forward insight that you have, your future vision that you have, and these two things meeting one another. Because it's like there's something happening on the timeline where I feel like this is a moment where you see the whole timeline. You see where it started and you see where it's going, and you're in the very center of it. And then this also feels like the connection between your heart and your mind, where at first it can feel like they're saying two different things, and then you're like, well, which of them am I supposed to listen to? But then what ends up happening is that when you do the self-reflection, you find out that you just had to find the common language because they're both actually telling you the same thing, but it doesn't appear like that at first. But then you find out they're telling you the same thing. And then I'm seeing the conflict be resolved, because there isn't that, should I choose my head or should I choose my heart? There's that, oh, they're saying the same thing, and so there's only one clear path here. There's only one way to go here. So that conflict is essentially worked out. So Mercury and moon energy have something that needs to be worked out. It gets worked out. This is also going to feel representative of triumph emotionally for you, especially when it comes to what matters and what you are connected to, and not ignoring things emotionally, not just giving overall precedence to what's going on mentally. This is also a consideration for what you're feeling, and also realizing the wisdom within that. That there's wisdom when you can conjoin things rather than feeling like you have to work on behalf of separate entities of your energy. And that when you find the common language between separate aspects of your energy, that they do say the same thing when you get into a space where you're really tuning into what is being communicated with you. We end in success, and then there will be movement at that point. This is it's a personal choice that comes up. It's a personal thing that needs to be seen. It's a personal thing that's figured out. Anything else? A choice about what you're doing in your future, being involved in this. The answer is going to be found within. As much as we can be like, I want them to tell me the answer, or I want to go here and get the answer, you're going to find it through self-reflection. So you can like really cut out all the extra places you would be looking and just do a dive within, because that's where you're going to find the answer. Having Hermit here means that there's nobody else that's going to tell this to you. Like, you're going to tell it to yourself, and you have to tune into your higher self, and your higher self will be there telling you what the answer is. So you're going to get the answer from yourself. And that's, you can feel too that if you look around and you're like, well, what do you think? What do you think? To other people, everything that they say, there's just going to be something that feels off about it. Like, the only wisdom that's going to resonate with you is one that encourages you to look within, as much as there can be resistance to doing it, because that's actually where you're going to find the answer. Because it also has to do with your heart being involved in what you're doing. And your higher self basically communicating with you about what you have going on and giving you a sense of direction here. Conflict being worked through, you move forward. Not move away from it, but you move through it, through your understanding of what's going on, and then everything is cleared up. So there's nothing anymore that you feel like you're stuck in between or caught in between. There's just a solid direction here with this. So that's where I'm seeing the month end. And this will feel like a, yes, I made it through type of thing. This will be a good feeling that you have, okay? All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.